On December 13, 1973, in central Pennsylvania, 17-year-old high school student Aaron Holtman ventured into a dirt lair in the old high school's basement. When something inexplicable happened, his three friends, Ben Holt, Paul Williams, and Tom Kaine, went searching for him. When they surfaced 2 days later, the story they told was horrifying. This was the story Ben told after they came out. I flash back to my mama telling me a story when I was young about two of her high school classmates who had gone missing from the academy. One day, they disappeared, and no one ever figured out what had happened to them. They went to the academy and simply dissolved. At least, that's the story my mama told me. I had not really believed it until now. When we pulled into the academy that morning, we laughed and talked about how we were going to play hooky for many hours after our first class. We agreed to meet by the spa doors that led to the parking lot so we could sneak out fluently without being seen. After our first class, we all met up by the spa doors. "Hey, I got a joint from my aged family last night. Let's go down in the basement and bomb it before we leave," Tom said. Each right, sounds good to me," I said, as I could see the others getting agitated as well. We had only been in the basement one other time, and that was to help our spa trainer move some outfits. The door leading to the basement was always uncorked for some reason, and we knew it was a secret but popular place for scholars to go bank during the academy. When we would bomb, though, we would generally just hop in one of our buses and leave. For some reason, though, we allowed it'd be delightful to light one over down there before taking off. The last time I was in the basement, I flashed back, seeing how creepy it was and how musty it smelled. There was one small light down there that did not work well. I did not watch, though. I was agitated to bomb them before we took off. It was dark as we sluggishly walked down the stairs, being careful not to trip. Formally we reached the bottom. Paul reached up, grabbing the chain hanging from the light, turning it on. It took a nanosecond for my eyes to acclimate, but once they did, I noticed a black door behind Paul that I had not noticed before. For some strange reason, the door was slightly open as well. Right, also, we heard what sounded like the door at the top of the stairs being locked. We turned to look as we saw someone's base through the door's bottom gap walking down. "What the hell?" asked Aaron, not sure. "Someone obviously knows we are down then, so we are not smoking it now," replied Tom. "It sounded like someone locked the door," I said. "Yeah, I heard that also," replied Aaron. "What should we do now?" asked Tom. "Let's stay to leave until noontime so we blend in." "I do not need the principal calling my parents," said Paul. "Yeah, me either," I replied. "Hey, I wonder where this black door leads." "I do not flash back at being down the last time we were down then," said Aaron. "Funny, I do not moreover," said Paul. "Well, let's see where it goes, man," replied Aaron. Aaron also walked over to the door and opened it. We all looked and could see it went down into darkness. The lair was dirt, as were the stairs that led down. My first study was, that is weird. Why would a high academy have an untreated area like this? My father builds houses for a living, and I help him on the weekends, so this was unusual to me. "Hey, guys, come on, let's go down and check it out," said Aaron as he signaled us to follow him. "Nah, I am good," replied Tom. "Yeah, I sure ain't going down there either," I said. Aaron also sluggishly started walking down the way as we looked on. When he was halfway down before he entered darkness, I flashed back him looking back at us and beaming. He also continued going down until we lost sight of him. I flashed back all of us looking at each other with concerned aesthetics. When all of the unforeseen, I felt what I allowed was a presence in the room. The black door snappily slammed shut, and we were thrown against the wall by commodity. What the hell is going on? What was that? Cried Paul in a fearful tone. What do we do? I said as I was spooked out of my mind. We need to find Aaron and get the hell out of them now, replied Tom. God damn it, I am not going down there in the dark, said Paul. We need to do commodity. We are not leaving without Aaron, I replied. Did you not just see what happened? Some weird is going on, and we need to get help, responded H. Screw you and get caught with a joint. I am going down there to get him, said Tom. Tom also walked over to the black door and sluggishly opened it. He looked back at us and said, Come on, you funk shits, let's go find him. I looked over at Paul, who was visibly spooked, as I started walking towards Tom. I knew Paul would follow us, and as we started descending into the lair, he did just that. Right before entering total darkness, we heard distant screaming followed by, Help me, boys, help me. We were all set in place, and the study of turning around and running back up the stairs went through my mind. Tom, who was in the lead, took off running through the darkness, yelling, We are coming, Aaron. I did not vacillate and took off running through the darkness as well. As I ran, I kept my arms stretched out so my hands were touching the sides of the lair. I could not see anything, but I could hear Tom in front of me. The only study going through my mind was not trip and fall. After we had run through the lair for what sounded like ever, I could noiselessly see a light up ahead and could see where the lair took a sharp turn. Tom was stopped up ahead before turning the corner and was looking back at me. I broke down when I got to him and rumored, What's this place? Let's stay for Paul before we see where the light is coming from. Tom said. Many seconds later, Paul came up behind us. What is going on, guys? He said as he tried catching his breath. We've no idea. We were staying for you before we go down, I replied. Commodity strange is going on. I do not like it, said Tom. Me either, I responded. We also turned and sluggishly started walking towards the light. A million effects went through my mind, but nothing prepared me for what I was about to witness. As we turned the corner, I could see there were candles far and wide, and it opened up into a fairly big room. The room was full of all kinds of strange effects I had no way seen, and the smell was horrendous. In the middle of the room was a big rustic table. On top of the table was Aaron. He was naked and sprawled out. He had been sliced open from his neck to his groin along with his arms and legs. His inwards were on the table next to his body. Next to Aaron stood what appeared to be a lady. She was small, about 3 feet in height. She looked back at us and in a raspy voice said, I want to feel you from the inside, as she started climbing into Aaron's body, lying down in it. Aaron cried out. Tom and I just stood there, too frightened to do anything. We couldn't believe what we were seeing. Paul, who was behind us, said nothing as well. I wasn't sure how long we stood there in shock, but I could hear weird sounds coming from the thing that crawled into Aaron's body. There was also a lot of writing, as I could see Aaron's breathless body moving about. All of an unforeseen, the thing stood up and was looking at us. I glanced at Aaron's body and could see it looked all shriveled up. His skin and face looked like that of a 100-year-old man. His hair had turned Argentine as well, which is easy to see, being Aaron's hair was spurt black. The thing also jumped down off the table and started running towards us. Man, I cried as I turned and started running back the way we would come. Tom and Paul were right behind me as we plodded and fought our way through the dark lair, each of us trying to be in the supereminent run briskly. Then effects got to be near behind us. Yelled Paul as we ran through the darkness. We ran and ran for what sounded like the longest time and ultimately had to stop to catch our breath. I do not flash back it being this long. I suppose we are lost, said Tom. Yeah, man, this is way too long. I suppose we took a wrong turn nearly and did not indeed know it because we cannot see a thing, I replied. We've no choice but to keep going until we get out of there, said Paul. What the hell was that thing, and what happened to Aaron? Asked Tom. I do not know. I cannot believe what we saw. It could not be real, I replied. Let's just keep moving so we can get out of there, said Paul. We also continued moving in silence, stumbling our way through the dark. When we ultimately came to a door, where we could tell it was a big rustic door, as we put our hands on it and fed around until we set up what felt like a handle and pulled on it. As we opened the door, we could see it led to another room that was lit with several candles. We cautiously stepped inside as we did not know what to anticipate or what we would find. The room was empty except for commodity in the far bar corner. What's that? I asked, not sure. It looks like an old gunny sack with commodity in it, replied Tom. Tom started sluggishly walking over to it, and before bending over to see what was inside, he signaled to me and Paul to come over. I was not sure what to anticipate as I walked over, but I kept looking over my shoulder, hysterical that whatever killed Aaron was going to show up any alternate. Tom also reached down, seized the gunny sack, and opened it. We all stepped back in shock as we could see the cadaverous remains of what appeared to be several bodies, as there were at least 3 mortal craniums outside along with a pile of bones. Man, we really need to get the hell out of them now, said Paul. Agreed, let's snare the candles and leave now, I responded. Paul and I each seized a candle and started heading towards the door. For some reason, Tom was still standing there, looking down at the gunny sack. Tom, let's go now, I rumored loudly. He looked up at me with an alarmed look and said, yeah, okay, I am coming, as he sluggishly started walking towards us. We walked through the covers until the candles burned out. We got nowhere, as there were a lot of turns and spoons throughout the covers. At one point, we got too exhausted, so we laid down and slept. I am not sure how long we slept, but when we awoke, we continued walking for a long time until we eventually made it back to the door we'd first come through. The whole time we were in the covers, I swear to God, we would hear scurrying sounds along with what sounded like mewling and creaking. When we would stop walking, the sounds would stop, leading us to believe we were being followed the entire time. I will no way be suitable to get the image out of my mind of Aaron sliced open and sprawled out across the table, and whatever that thing was down there that crippled his body will never hang my dreams. When the 3 of them made it out of the covers, it was the middle of the night. The door they allowed had been locked by someone who was uncorked. They no way set up out if someone had designedly locked also uncorked it. They went straight to the original police station and told them everything that had happened. The police searched the covers for several days and were unable to find Aaron or the apartments the boys had described. How the coverts got under the academy or when they were indeed constructed also remains a riddle. A still door was put in place, locking and sailing off the coverts to help anyone differently from going down there. Tom, Paul, and Ben were questioned constantly by the police, but no way changed their story. No one was ever charged with the exposure of Aaron Holtman. His family held an honorary service a time later on the very day he went down into the lair for further scary horror stories.